Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session. Before I start on accessibility and everything that I have on my deck, I want a quick raise of hands. Has anyone ever used just a keyboard to navigate through a website by pressing tab? Okay, interesting. Has anyone ever used a voice recorder screen reader to read through the screen? Okay, interesting. So, the examples that I'm going to give today are mostly for people who use screen readers or keyboards or any sort of assistive tech to go through their or to navigate to any through website. So yeah, I mean, although we saw that the number of hands in both the scenarios were not a lot, but yeah, there are a lot of people out there who utilize it. And now these days with growing tech, we have generated images, generated video captions, generated layouts, and even generated websites. So imagine how is it going to be for people who use these assistive techs to navigate through website when AI comes in there, because although AI is doing great things, but yeah, I mean, there are a lot of loopholes there. So if I had to give an example, I was once reading an article, and in that AI auto captioned image of a microwave, calling it as an innovative mailbox. Now for someone who can look at that image and see the text visibly, they can make sense that okay, AI probably has gone wrong, and it isn't really an innovative mailbox, but something that you would use for your food or something that you would use for heating up. But imagine, what if someone was just looking at, or, was just hearing that, okay, there's some image of innovative mailbox, and then there's a lot of content around heating food. So that will be so confusing. So, yes, now let's move on to the topic and talk a bit about what accessibility means, what websites, what are the checkpoints that a website should have. And yeah, I mean, if you're using AI generated content on your websites, what all you can do to make them accessible for everyone. So, before starting off, I want to go on a quick introduction about myself. So, I am Anushka Narula. I come from India. I work at Adobe as a software engineer, and I work on a product called Adobe Express. So Adobe Express is a product which is a beginner friendly one where users can bring out their creative imaginations in the form of posters, flyers, or any creative content. And yeah, even this presentation is made on Adobe Express. Apart from that, I'm pursuing masters from Georgia Tech. So yeah, that gives me, the technical knowledge of machine learning and AI, and I kind of utilize some of it in my product work at Adobe. So yeah, that's about me. And when I get time from each of these, I travel around, go to community events, go to conferences, and even speak at some. So that's about me. So, starting on what makes a web page truly accessible. So, there are four principles, and it's actually called the POUR, POUR. So, P stands for perceivable, which means that they should be able to, that users should be able to perceive all the content. It means that, they should be at least, if you have some creatives on your website, people should be able to understand in some way, like there should be alternate texts to it so that screen readers read them out, or there should be captions for videos so that again screen readers read out what's going on in the video. And color contrast also comes in here, because color blindness, although not a lot of people know about it, but it's out there in different forms. So even color contrast is a thing which comes under this perceivable point, that okay, everything on your site should be of a proper color contrast. And there are tools to check whether you have a proper ratio of color to text on your website or not. So that's the first thing. Second is operable. That means that anyone who's using your website should be able to operate each and every feature of it. Now, for someone who is using a mouse, looking at text, it's easier for them to, hover the mouse, click on any button, do any operation. But operable even for the ones who are using assistive tech, which means that all the key elements, or at least all the clickable buttons on the website should be, should be reachable by the tab key or some key on the keyboard. And yeah, even if that's an AI generated layout, make sure that this happens, because a lot of times AI misses out on making at least adding like a focus on where the mouse is, because without a focus indicator it's going to get very, very tough. So that's about operability. The third principle is about is that things should be understandable. So understandable means that content, or the language used in your website should be simple, so that just by listening to the explanation, um, people can understand that, okay, what's actually happening in that image, or what's actually happening in that website. And understandable even includes that a lot of times there can be error scenarios on your websites. So like a lot of times, if I say that, let's say there's an AI generated sign in sign up form. So a lot of times AI, since it has to do things very quickly, what it does is it might not clearly show the error messages to users, but it might just show that, okay, error 5xx, which is okay for a developer to understand. But think from a user point of view, especially who is, who cannot really see what's there on the screen, but they would actually, wait for the screen readers to say that, okay, what is the error and how do they correct it. So like this example which I gave, that, okay, let's say there's a sign in sign up form and the window says error 5xx. So a screen reader would technically read that. So how would you make such scenario better understandable is that you clearly mention that, okay, probably the password does not match the format in which it should be, or something around that. So understandable point covers that, okay, keep your language simple, convey everything out very, very clearly to your users. Then the fourth point is robustness. So that means that everything that you build should be accessible across different devices and should be built in a way that it can be extended beyond and to future use cases and so on. So robustness is more of a generic point of view, like not just accessibility point, but yeah, this covers a bit of how your semantic in UI is. So like have a proper header, have a proper body of your website, and then footer and those kind of divisions. So yeah, that's about the POR principle. Now moving on to the next slide, I've deliberately put this image here. How many of you can clearly see all the colors and all the texts? Colors, I think you still be able to see it, but text, I feel in a lot of cases it might get a bit tricky. Is it? Yes, no? Okay. Phew. Okay, so that's because I wanted to show that, okay, how can, if the color contrast isn't good, it can actually be disastrous. Because see, white on a lot of colors is not clearly visible. Okay, cool. So I'll be your assistive tech tool here, and I'm going to tell you about each of these. So this is more of a summary of what we saw in the principles before. So starting from the 12 o'clock, the mustard shaded segment, which says use of colors. So yeah, have a good use of colors on your website. Then moving on in the clockwise direction. So next is use of fonts. Use of simple fonts it's okay that your brand image might have to use some funky fonts, but make sure that the use of fonts and the colors together looks good and can be easily understandable by everyone. Next is website navigation. So as I said that users should be able to navigate on your website by just using keyboard or some sort of assistive tech. Next point is content structure and semantics. So yeah, this is probably this is what we talked about in the robustness point, that okay, have a proper UI semantic structure so that it the other things like alt text and ARIA labels can be easily added on your UI structure easily. The next one, which is orange in color, so screen reader compatibility, which is like that, okay, screen readers should be easily able to read through all the content that you have. And yeah, it correctly conveys. So even screen readers basically read out the alt text of images or, captions of videos, or if it's a description or, straightforward text on your website, it would straight away read that. The next one in the purple color, that is images in media. So yes, it's okay to add generated images or generated media on your websites, but yeah, make sure that they have proper alternate text, alt text, or proper tags added to it. Because a lot of times, like even I generate a lot of images from a lot of AI tools, and what I've seen is they either have some alt text, but that does not always convey out what the image is doing. And a lot of times it does not have, it has an empty alt text. So that becomes a bit difficult if you straight up used those generated content on your website. Next point is keyboard accessibility. So it's not just about the tab key on the keyboard, which you use to tab through all the elements of your website, but yeah, even the up and down key and even other keys. So when you're building some website and especially using AI in it, make sure to double check, think of you as if you are someone who's just going to use keyboard and no other key to do all the functions that you would want to do from your website, and make sure that everything works. So yeah, that's about all the things that you should be taking care of, and a kind of summary of what we discussed in the Power Principles. Moving on to the next line, which is about accessibility challenges in AI driven content. So, as I said, that AI at times messes up some certain things, and there have been examples, like if you see on the right side of the screen, there are actually some real examples where directly using things, or not even AI at times. It's not just AI, it can be regular website work as well. So but yeah, there have been a lot of examples. So first one, as I've said, that okay, bad or missing alt text. Like alt text might not always convey the thing out correctly. So try to have a good alt text. I'm gonna show you a demo of two models which can be used to generate alt text, and just a comparison between them. And next is about the color contrast issues. So color contrast can go wrong. If you look at this example, which is about this was a map which was generated by AI, which was actually a replication of some ground area, and it did a lot of people since that generated image did not have a proper color contrast, it did not clearly convey out what the people should be looking. And since it was a news article, it did create a lot of confusion amongst people. So color contrast can go wrong at times and create a lot of misinformation among people. Next is a lack of focus control. So focus control, as I said, focus control is not just that okay, you can tab through all the clickable elements of your website, but it even includes that okay, wherever your keyboard pointer is, there should be a focus ring so that users know where they actually are. And there's no harm obviously it's going to be some X icon on the page, or maybe if it's a button, it's always good to add some text, or even if it's just an icon, it's good to add some alt text to it. The fourth one is unpredictable DOM updates. Now, this is something which is very common on a lot of websites that uses AI. So imagine a website which has been showing you recommendations that okay, you're browsing for something, and then let's say you're checking out for flights from location A to B, and a lot of times a recommendation comes up on the top that okay, here's a new offer that is coming on your flight tickets or something like that. So a lot of times, just because of these AI recommendations pop up on the top of your screen, they can actually cause a blocking experience for the ones using assistive tech, because now your focus controller or your focus indicator is just gone, and it does become difficult. So like showing recommendations is one such example, but yeah, DOM updates are very common when you have AI recommendations or things like AI based sorting present on your website. So even that is an area where you need to look at multiple times, or be careful about whenever you have AI integrated or AI suggestions integrated on your website. And then comes bias data. So this, I think, is ever evolving issue, because a lot of voice assistants, when you ask them questions, they return answers which are very generic, and they might not always cover information which is around people using assistive tech. So it's not, bias data is not always taken as a challenge, but yeah, at times, I mean, it's not really a UI accessibility challenge, but yeah, it's an in general accessibility challenge which happens in a lot of speech models integrated on your websites. Like this example, if you see, so speech recognition did go wrong with a lot of accents and a lot of scenarios. So yeah, that is also one thing that we need to take care of. So moving on to the tools which you can use. So one of them is Axe tool. So it's like it's a Chrome plugin that you can add on, a Chrome extension that you can add it on your Chrome browser, and then you can just run it. Is the font visible? Are you able to see it? Or I can maximize it if you want. But okay, I don't see anything here, so I guess it's okay. So the thing is that you can open your website, open the Axe Dev tool from your Chrome browser, and that is going to list out all the issues. It would actually scan your entire website, and then irrespective of whether you have AI generated content or any sort of content on your website, it will actually, list out all the errors that you have. So like in this example, it gave that, okay, elements must meet minimum color contrast ratio thresholds. So that happens twice. I guess it's with this region, gray and blue. But yeah, it acts as one tool that can help you scan things out and list issues right from your browser. The next one is Pillow library, which you can use now that we have talked about the color contrast issues. So yeah, Pillow is a Python library where you can just set the color contrast. Like here, I have an image. So initially it said that the color contrast was 3.18, which didn't actually fall into the standards defined by WCAG. But yeah, once it improved, so this is actually for, color contrast depends a lot on what text and the color of the text and the color of your image. So the contrast of the image might not look good, but the calculation is done in terms of what color of text will be added on top of it. So yeah, Pillow is one library that you can use very easily to adjust or set color, any sort of particular color contrast on your images. The next one is alt text, which again is a really important thing when it comes to AI generated content. So yeah, I mean, this example actually has the transformers library using the vision transformer GPT-2 model. So with this model, like I had this image and it generated a dog playing with a ball in the grass. So yeah, I mean, this is a good one. Instead, this might give some context to someone looking at that image instead of just a blank thing. There is another model which can be used here. I guess it's on the next slide. So the benefit of that, I mean, it's onto your product and onto your website that what amount, whether it, see, even this alt text works great and describes the image well. But if I go to the other model, so here it is using this blip model, which is, I guess, an open source model by Salesforce. So even that can be used for generating alt text. So I've used the same image here, and if you just look a bit, it might take a few seconds, but so yeah, even this would generate an alt text. So now the thing, so yeah, this generated a bit more descriptive alt text, which says that, okay, a small dog running through the field with the red ball in its mouth. So now, like, although Blip is out in the market and is considered better model, but yeah, it's on to you that, okay, to what extent is it okay for your audience to know? And yeah, I mean, these examples just had, okay, generating alt text for single examples, but in the real life scenario, this is not the case. You won't be generating alt text for individual images on your website. What I mean to convey here is that, okay, you can actually integrate these things on, while you're building websites or while you're building models which would generate websites, that, okay, make sure to generate alt text, add it to the image, and then get going. So this is the, gist of what I had through alt text. Moving on to the keyboard testing part. So Playwright is actually an end-to-end testing rule. Even, you can use that in Python. So like in this example, the demo is really fast. So like what I did was I was actually saying that, okay, tab through 15 keys, and what it did, and I gave the website URL right above. Will I be able to pause this? Okay, anyways. So the output it printed was that, okay, after the first tab, this happened. Then if you see from here, after the fifth tab, there was a focused element, and this was the element, which was actually the news tab, and so on. So you can change the number of tabs in the code, and just keep telling that, okay, test it out. And Playwright is just going to print out all the possible not all the possible, but it would actually be tabbing through your website based on what you have conditions that you have set above. And from here you can actually see whether your elements are being focused or not, whether they are properly being or are they properly conveying things to what the users would want. So although I don't have any more tools or examples, but the thing is that these are the really common like apart from these, the best way is that, okay, human runs into the loop, you go and do the round of testing and just validate whether it works or not. And yeah, these tools are just to automate your process and make it faster. So now talking about kind of summarizing and listing out the things to take care of. So yeah, label all the buttons. You might have some clickable buttons or some icons. Label all of them so that website is clearly conveyed. Avoid using ARIA. A lot of times, like, ARIA is for adding labels to a lot of your UI elements like menus, dialogues, so on. But yeah, don't overuse it. Or and ARIA is even used to add roles. Like, a lot of scenarios can be like div, you call role equals button, and it would behave like a button. In that, instead of that, use HTML button tag. Then the third one is show indicator for keyboard focus. So yeah, if you don't have a proper indicator, users won't be able to see which element is focused. Next is add skip links. So give buttons to skip to the bottom or skip to the important content, because the ones who use assistive tech, they might not always want to scroll through each and every element. So give this skip link button for sure. Then yeah, make errors understandable, clearly convey what the issue is so that they know clearly what they have to do to fix it. And then yeah, use proper UI semantics and have a proper structure of your website. Lastly, don't blindly trust AI outputs. Yeah, they are fancy, they're good, they save a lot of your time when you're developing things, but they can go wrong with people using assistive tech. Then test early and often. Although you have tools to automate testing, but do it yourself while you are in the process of development. Third is prioritize usability over fancy features. As I said that, Gen AI, the way it's evolving these days, you have so many good things that it can do. But yeah, accessibility is something that as developers you should take care of if you care a lot about your users. And yeah, automate accessibility testing with Python tools, because as a developer, you cannot be really doing everything. So try to add those accessibility checks, or maybe integrate the libraries that we talked about, so that they can give you error alerts or error warnings that, okay, this isn't wrong or this isn't going the right way. So yeah, lastly, I'll just say that smart apps are cool, but inclusive apps are cooler. So let's build both. Thank you.